Okay, this is excellent. Thank you all very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll wait a minute or two. Some people are still coming in. All right, I think it's time for us to start. Thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure being here. And before I begin, I think this is the first time that I address all of our faculty and staff in either capacity as provost or as president. So I need to say this. Um, I am incredibly honored to be here, obviously, but more importantly, I'm thankful to each and every one of you. I've been here for two years already. This is the beginning of my junior year, I guess, at Lotus Tech. I started on September 1st of 2020. Uh, and I said this a couple of times before, and it is absolutely true. I'm grateful to all of you. You actually have made me feel home from day one. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I've been with my previous employer for a quarter century before moving here across the country, and I frankly had some hesitation. I never imagined it would be a smooth transition. You and I am immensely grateful, made it incredibly easy. I feel home from day one. I feel more home so now than even at the beginning, if that is possible, and thank you. Moving on, again, this is our State of the University address. The intention is to do this once a year. And of course, the intention is to do a couple of things in these addresses. One of them is to reflect on the last year. In this case, I'll reflect on a couple of years. And then, of course, to basically outline what our plans are for the upcoming year and what are our aspirations and expectations and so on. The state of the university is strong. The state of the university is stronger than probably it has been for a number of years, and we'll go through the numbers that justify that and explains that. This university has been founded 90 years ago. Nobody in this room was born at that time, that I know. And all I can tell you is the Lawrence brothers would not have been more proud seeing the university that it has become after 90 years. This university has been established with a very clear mission, vision. And that mission and vision was to graduate eminent professionals who are ready to work in the workforce and contribute to the economic development of this region from day one upon graduation. A mission grounded in theory and practice, and a mission that primarily feeds into the industry and makes sure that families, communities, industries, and the region is lifted up. This is exactly what we're doing now 90 years later. We have not veered 1 inch from the founding fathers' vision for this university, and that's something we should all be proud of. Thank you for all your work. Many of you have heard this story, but I do not ever get tired of telling it, and it's worth mentioning. When I was looking for an institution to join, in a capacity as provost or president a couple of years ago, I did what any quintessential engineer would do, which is basically go through the repertoire of every single university in the country. And there are 6,000 institutions of higher learning in the US, from community colleges all the way to research-wide universities. Out of these 6,000, my aspiration and hope was to join a university that is technologically focused by mission, by vision, and by name. And given my own background in higher education and my own discipline as a roboticist, that did make sense to me at that time in late 2019. So after this exquisite, very long search process, I discovered that there were only 56 such universities in the nation. 56 universities out of the 6,000 that are, by mission, vision, and name, technologically focused, less than 1%. That by itself was stunning to me as an academician and as an engineer. I thought in the 21st century, with technology being, important in every field and or discipline, et cetera, there would be a couple of hundred such universities to explore. That was a stunning thing to start with. In addition, I found out that only half of these universities were actually comprehensive, meaning not a glorified quote-unquote school of engineering or technology, but comprehensive, meaning they offer all the majors at all the levels, bachelor's, master's, doctoral, and ensure that within all the disciplines that they actually teach, the students come out at the end of their journey very technologically savvy. And since I was built, and many of you know that already, not to work in public universities, I was looking at private schools. And out of these 28 schools that were comprehensive, only 13 were private. And it was truly very strange. I thought the number would be much more. You probably know what these 13 are. Lawrence Tech, one of them, MIT, Caltech, WPI, RPI, Stevens, etc., and 5 others. And my search for a potential job failed after doing all of this, because there were no openings in any of these 13 for provost and president. And then, of course, karma interfered, and my predecessor, Dr. Maria Vaz, retired, and I was called by the recruiter. So it happened. But we are in a very elite company as a university, which is something we should all be very proud of. We are literally less than 0.25% of the population of universities in this country that are comprehensive doctoral, that are technologically focused, and also private. And this position is a position of strength. It's a position that enables us to do and continue to do well in the future economy because of what the workforce requires in terms of trained students getting out. And it also enables us, given our disposition as an agile institute of education, to move fast, to come up with programming that's exciting, that's relevant, that's worthy for the workforce, that enables our kids to do incredibly well. And we're doing that, and we're going to do it at a higher level. These are, again, some of the factoids that some of you might already know. Our students get amazing jobs upon graduation. 95% of our students receive eminent employment. And I mean by eminent employment, not only living wage employment, but actually way above living wage employment. Our average salary upon graduation for the last couple of years have been upwards of $65,000 for people graduating with a bachelor's degree on the average from Lawrence Tech. That's amazing, and that's very, very significant. The country graduates roughly every year from these 6,000 institutions, somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million people with bachelor's degrees. It might be interesting and actually very sad for us to know, out of these close to a couple of million bachelor's degree recipients, 75 to 80% of the people who graduate from the US with a bachelor's degree in the 21st century do not even make living wage as defined by the state that they graduated from, which is a problem. We don't have that problem. We're doing incredibly well. But it is a problem in higher education. Higher education is facing, as you all know, you're reading the same literature that I read, higher education is facing very, very tough time. The value proposition of higher education is being questioned by industry, being questioned by parents, being questioned by potential students at all the levels, bachelor's or graduate, because higher education is not living up to the premise that we all thought it actually provides. And the premise is you spend 4 years, you invest money, yours or your parents, you invest time and effort, and you graduate really ready to assume a great job that is professionally oriented, that enables the individual to be independent, which means living wage or more. Higher education is not delivering on this premise. We are amongst few institutions in the country. The national average is 2/3 of graduates even get a month, not necessarily within 3 months of graduation get an offer. We are close to 100%. Our problem in Lawrence Tech, as I always say to our constituents on the outside, is not getting jobs for our students. Our problem is to keep them till they graduate. And you all know what that means, right? Our students are getting job offers right after the first or second co-op or internship, and they want to finish part-time. It's a good problem to have. We don't encourage them to do that, but it's a good problem to have. We have been ranked as #1 in return on investment in southeastern Michigan, and we have been #1 in salary upon graduations amongst every institution in the state of Michigan, all 43, public and private. That's quite a feat. Give yourselves a hand. Why? Because we're doing the right things. We're teaching our students what they need to be productive professionals. We are the university that assures that its value propositions continues to be relevant. We have amazing relationships with industries, with companies, and they value the product that we produce, mainly eminent professionals for the 21st century. We're not cheap, and that's a discussion that we'll have in a few minutes, but we're not that expensive either. We are a private school. We're not dependent on public monies or taxes or anything else to make it happen. This is a business, period. It is a non-for-profit business, but it's a business. We have to be on the black year after year. And of course, Linda is not here. She can probably talk about that for a couple of hours. She's here, yes, yes. Sorry, Linda. Yes, we do. We have to be in the black. We're dependent on ourselves. We're dependent on our tuition and revenues. We're dependent on philanthropy, on sponsored research overhead, on economic development monies, and that's it. And we depend on this. We spend the money. We make sure that we spend it wisely to educate the students to the best of our abilities and do transformative research and development. And we still have to be in the black year after year. That's why you see the sticker price, which sometimes comes as a shock for parents. But it's not the full story, and that's where the value proposition comes in. We do offer significant scholarships, merit-based scholarships, and we'll do more and more of that going forward as our colleagues in philanthropy ramp up their activities and are able to help more and more with scholarships. Our students are able to get co-ops and internships for 1 to 2 summers. These 1 or 2 co-ops and or internships are typically equivalent to 1 year tuition when you really add the numbers. We have abundant positions for our undergraduate students, work-study positions in our labs, in our studios, in our workshops, in our administrative offices. There's significant compensation that can really help the students. And when you actually work these numbers, all of these possibilities for merit scholarships, work-study positions, co-ops, undergraduate funded research opportunities were not expensive at all. This makes sense. We have been the only university for the last 2 years, both public and private, that has shown an enrollment increase. The only university in the state of Michigan. Congratulations to our enrollment management professionals. I see Lisa and Jane. Thank you, and thanks to all of your amazing staff. I mean, you guys are amazing. Please give them one more time. Every university amongst the 23 private universities and the 18 or so public universities have seen a decline, and in many cases, double-digit declines, and you all read about this. In our case, we're the only one. Again, why? Because we make sense. Our kids, our value proposition, what we're doing here enables kids to graduate, get amazing jobs, and not stay in the basement of their parents upon graduation. And that's what we really are about. Continuing on, this is a very different university than it used to be 20-something years ago. You all think I've been here only 2 years. Actually, I visited this campus in the mid-early 90s when I was serving as dean with my previous institution. And of course, when I came here to interview right before the pandemic, I was stunned because this was not the campus that I've seen in the early 90s. This was a night school. It was a night school, professional programming, mostly, students coming in, commuting to take classes, and we still did an amazing job of that at that time, no question. But it's transformed, completely transformed. And kudos to the previous presidents, Dr. Mudgil and Dr. Walker and Dr. Chambers and Dr. Marburger, who affected that transformation with all of your help, the VPs and the deans. What has happened here in 20 years, from primarily a commuter school to a thriving campus with 1,000 residential students, and you probably all know, in a semester or two, we're not going to have any more space. I mean, we're already nearly there. I mean, Kevin tells me that story at the beginning of every semester, but that's, again, a good problem. 700 athletes. I also never tire from telling this story. When I first came into Lawrence Tech as provost, I think we had about maybe 480 or 500 athletes. And I had some concerns because that was a significant percentage of our undergraduate student population. And from my previous experience in a D2 school, the average GPAs for athletes is typically lower than the regular population, very typical in schools with large athletic programs. When I came in and started looking at the profile, the academic profile of the 500 or so athletes that we had, I was astonished. Teams with average GPAs of 3.7 and 3.6 and 3.5. So my first actual request of Kevin was to increase this by a couple of hundred, and he did. We are now at 700 athletes, 34 sports. That's something, again, that's transformative. Many of you think 20 years in the life of a university is a very long time where transformations like that could occur. It's not true. Academia works at a very slow pace. What have happened here over the last 20 years, I have never witnessed at all. Complete campus transformation. Again, kudos to the previous administrators and to all of you for making this possible. We continue to be innovative. We continue to be on the cutting edge of programming with new programming and nursing, physician assistant program, cardiovascular perfusion, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, autonomous mobility, business intelligence, data sciences, data analytics, augmented and virtual realities, and gaming, and many more. We continue and will continue to be creative and come up with interdisciplinary programming that makes sense, that industry needs. As you can tell by just looking at these few measures that we've designed over the last couple of years and or areas of concentration, none of these areas fit neatly within a discipline. And that's the reality of higher education into the 21st century. Very few new emerging fields can fit very well defined within a major like electrical engineering or architecture or industrial design or chemistry. Most of the new emerging fields and the jobs of the future are very interdisciplinary in nature. And that's the nature of the programming that you'll see going forward and what happened the last couple of years. There was no job title called social media marketer 15 years ago because there was no social media. There is no job title called autonomous car engineer 10 years ago, nanotechnologist, augmented reality designer, robotic surgery expert, and the list continues. And when we're having a discussion like this in a few years, there will be tens of new jobs and disciplines that we have not even envisioned yet, right? That we are preparing our students to assume positions in. Our education will have and will continue to be very interdisciplinary in nature. We want to make sure that our students have a breadth of knowledge in various fields so they can basically assume these creative new jobs and be comfortable with change. I'm a roboticist by training, very hardcore engineer all my life. I never imagined I'll need to learn quantitative physiology or anatomy, but I need to, because if I want to work in artificial limbs or robotic prosthesis, I have to have a basic working knowledge of these fields to be productive and to be able to work. Same is true of all of the emerging fields of the future. We're not saying that we have to dispense with the concept of a major or an area depth for concentration, but students should be well-rounded, and not only within various disciplines, but they should also be great communicators, great writers, good leaders, able to function on team, able to present their work appropriately, understand project management, and be well-rounded professionals, because that's the kind of employees that industry is looking for who are going to be changing the world and making it better. Excuse me. Any project, any job, any significant endeavor that can make a positive effect on humanity is going to be of the sort that requires people to be comfortable across disciplines in order to affect that broader impact and change. We are training students for job titles that don't exist. We want to make sure that they are able to be lifelong learners and come out with the skills that enables them to be that. It's not about the degree name anymore, it's about the skills that you come out from a higher education institution and being able to use these skills to affect change and have a broader impact on society. I can't get over these numbers, so I have to show them to you. Red means declining, green means improving. The numbers are, as you can see, I went back 3 or 4 years. We have been declining, like many other institutions, nothing new there. We have been declining in every aspect. We have been declining in undergraduate student numbers, graduate student numbers, overall enrollment, and semester credit hours. That has changed. We're doing well. We're spreading the word out, and I'm going to talk about marketing and other recruitment activities in a while. We are seeing significant increases. What pays the bill is the row in the middle, the semester credit hours, right? Enrollment is important for a million different reasons and makes us eligible for great support. What pays the bill is the semester credit hours. We're back. 32,000, about 33,000 semester credit hours being registered for in this fall. Would love that number to get to 40,000, which was the height of actual enrollment, maybe 12 years ago. And I'm very confident that we'll do this within the next 3 years. We're back, and we're doing it well. And we're doing it well at all the levels. International student enrollment has quadrupled in the last 2 years, and the number of projects and recruiters that we've hired overseas and the great work being done by enrollment management will get the international students number to where they used to be, 400 to 500 in every semester. And we're very confident. We're close to 200 and something now. At the undergraduate level, with the work of philanthropy and targeted scholarships, we will increase that number, and more importantly, reach into high schools and urban school districts that we're not recruiting any students from right now, and that will change with these scholarships. Our dual enrollment program is expanding. We have actually doubled the numbers of students that have been dually enrolled since 2020. That program has close to 900 high school kids in 45 school districts. That number is anticipated and hoped for to cross the threshold of 3,000 in the next 3 years. Why is this important? It's actually your best marketing tool. Dual enrollment students, number one, we change their lives because we provide them with the hope, and we make them understand that college is not out of reach when they take our classes, when they are sophomores, and when they are, juniors and seniors. 50% of the students who are enrolled in our dual degree programs end up being students at Lawrence Tech. So that's amazing. But even more amazing, about 40% of the remaining, meaning 40 out of the 50, 80%, end up in some college, not Lawrence Tech, which is a great thing. Kids who participate in our dual enrollment program, 90% of them end up in higher education. If you take that sample of 1,000 kids in these 45 school districts and compare them to a sample of kids in the same school districts that have not taken dual enrollment programs, the number is not 90%. It's about 35%. So we make something amazing here. We help people. It's a great humane thing, and it's something that really makes a difference to us. Our work within the area of professional development is starting with the help of our economic development professionals. And of course, the aspiration is that our micro-credential certifications, et cetera, non-degree programming will ramp up in the next few years. There is great demand from industry. This has been an area in which we have not focused for the last many years, but given the significant need and the shift in industry, particularly, of course, the auto industry, to EV and many other industries, we need to get on that wagon. And we will be offering lots of different professional development certifications and such in the future. Two great programs recently started, attended 2 white coat ceremonies, pretty cool. The physician assistant program and the cardiovascular perfusion program. There is a reason that I really want to focus on these 2 new programs, and the reason is the following. From a programming point of view, the programs that you want to start in a university are the programs that you do not need to recruit for, right? That's the best thing to do. If you're able to start programming in which the demand is incredibly significant and the number of aspire to, professionals who want to get into this program by far exceeds the number of slots available, in such programs across the country, these are the kind of programs that you want to start. Because you're guaranteed enrollment, you're guaranteed great students because you'll have a great selection, and at the same time, you don't have to worry about budgetary issue or spending a lot of money for marketing, advertising, and so on. These 2 programs, and many to come, if not all to come, are gonna be exactly like that. The cardiovascular perfusion, huge shortage in the country, 18 programs, if I'm not mistaken, none in the state of Michigan. We were approved initially for that class of 12 to be 25 in a couple of years. We did not spend one dime in advertising for this program. Upon the initial approval and just word of mouth, we received close to 100 applications. Same thing with the PA program. Actually, the PA program is even Different. The PA program is not direct admissions program. You know that. It's centralized admission, very similar to medical schools and dental schools and occupational therapy and chiropractic and many other professions. Basically, it's a matching system. 100,000 people apply to compete for 20,000 slots, as an example, across the country. And basically, it's a software match based on who you rank to be your top candidates and how the candidates rank you. Of course, the PA program is full from day one for the inaugural class and will continue to be so. And I think this opens an opportunity for us, which has been started by our previous president within the area of health sciences. Health sciences is a growing area. Health sciences in a technological university is an amazing opportunity for training healthcare workers of the future who are trained on things like robotic surgery and bioinformatics and telemedicine and simulation in healthcare and many, many other aspects of healthcare and technology. And this is just the preliminary menu of possibilities, and we'll see in the next few years. Well, we'll see in the next year and the year after and the year after what programming we come up with as a community within these areas. Health sciences programs that we're gonna start will all share the characteristic that they are mostly centralized type admission so that we can guarantee the enrollment of students in this program without a heavy lift in marketing, recruitment, and advertising. And we anticipate that this will be a significant growth area for us in the upcoming future, leading to the potential formation of our fifth college, the College of Health Sciences. And that's the natural path for a university like us to evolve. Thank you. External funding. Again, I'm a numbers guy. The numbers speak for themselves. There are four categories of funding within the numbers that you see here. These are non-tuition dollars, right? So these numbers have nothing to do with tuition revenue. And these are the four categories. I didn't do the division, but it's very simple. Sponsored research funding, right? And that's part of the external funding that we get as a university. Economic development type funding, and that's mostly institutional grants, infrastructure grants, professional development grants and such, and industry grants. The third type of funding, which is unique to us and worth talking about, and I will for a minute or two, is our Accelerator funding, the Centropolis Accelerator, which is an incredibly unique entity on a campus like Lawrence Tech. And finally, philanthropy. And philanthropy comes in two flavors. Direct cash, right, that our donors and supporters give to us, and of course, non-cash, which is planned gifts and pledges. And these are future commitments. These numbers do not include planned gifts and pledges. This is straight cash. The numbers speak for themselves. The numbers for the last several years, even before 2020 to 2021, in all of these categories, never in any single year, after the big gifts of the $10 million, 10 years ago, never exceeded $2 million, 2.5. The number last year was 10.5 million. This is amazing. This is your work. This is the work of our amazing faculty members working with our economic development team and Catherine and research and Nabil and others to get sponsored research fund and participate in institutional grants. It's the work of our great professionals in the Accelerator and Dan Radomski ramping up the applications. And I know I might have pushed a little bit too much last year or two, when it comes to research and economic development, but frankly, we're seeing amazing results. Kudos, especially to the faculty for all their great work. The $10.5 million have been roughly evenly distributed among the four categories last year. $2.5 to $3 million in sponsored research funding, $2.5 to $3 million in institutional grants and economic development, about $3 million in philanthropy, which is actually the largest number in a whole number of years, and the Accelerator about $3 million. So it's been evenly distributed. These are the first 2 months of this year. I haven't counted September yet, July and August. July and August of the new fiscal year, meaning we have 10 more months, we already are up to $3.4 million, which is great. We have North Star goals for all of these categories that are very well defined, and our North Star goal aspirations for philanthropy, one of the 4 categories, is to ramp it up from 3 million to about 10 million in the next 3 to 5 years. And I have every confidence in Kevin, who's right here, no pressure, Kevin, that and his great colleagues in philanthropy, that we will be able to get there. We are finally actually asking people to help. And believe it or not, we haven't done that before. I mean, you're never gonna get anything unless you ask, right? I mean, that's what philanthropy is. And we've been doing that actually in a faster pace. And with the changes in the office and the new messaging and asking our colleagues and alumni and supporters and donors to help, we're gonna do well. We already started doing very well, since the beginning of this year. Our message is being very well received. Our donors see the difference that we're making in our students' life. And the donors are seeing that we want to have more impact and get more students and be able to support them. And our donors understand that without philanthropy dollars, we will not be able to avail these students of the scholarships that they need. Many of our donors have been here, and without scholarships and help, they would have never been the eminent professionals they are today. And they are starting to actually give back to us. And with fundraising officers within the colleges and ramping up the activities in philanthropy, which is my focus area for the next 2 years or so, we're gonna do much better. For the other pieces of this, meaning economic development, sponsored research, and the accelerator, combined, the goal is to get to another $10 million. So between both of them, this $10.5 million last year, within the next 3 to 5 years, is aspired to be $20 million. Which would be approximately, which now would be like 35% of our annual revenue, but hopefully in 3-5 years it will be about 20%. Moving forward, again, being scientists, researchers, etc., have my physics people here in front of me who have been doing greatly with NSF. NSF has been recognizing, obviously, our efforts and work. And of course, the indirect cost helps significantly. 58 proposal submissions from LTU faculty requesting $11 million are actually currently pending now. Our typical success rate with sponsored research, correct me, Dr. Grace, 20% roughly. So if things work out based on the law of averages, they usually tend to. We're expecting $3 million or so to come out from this in the very, very near future in terms of approved sponsored research. And we're still in September. So these are all great news. You're going to see more events on this campus, different type of events, different kinds of commencements, different kinds of speakers going forward. I haven't announced yet the speaker for December. But it will be someone whom I hope you will enjoy listening to, and particularly our students. And that's what commencement speakers are about. We will do things a little bit differently in terms of gatherings and parties and Christmas outings and events for students and parents and so on. And you will hear more about this going forward. We have hired a campus event coordinator, I think very, very recently, maybe a week ago, if I'm not mistaken. And that person will be really helping us dramatically in coordinating our events for us and potentially for people from the outside who would like to use our facilities. And that will be very helpful. I cannot speak enough about the Accelerator and the work that Director Dan Radomski and his colleagues are doing. The Accelerator has helped upward of 230 startup companies since its inception and since its formation, which is truly stunning. Kudos to the efforts that resulted in forming this wonderful public-private partnership led by Mark Bruckey several years ago. what we're doing in the Accelerator is transformative for this region. Our economic impact on this region the last year has been approximately $377 million. Let me explain what that means. The economic impact of a typical university on the region in which it exists usually is about twice the annual budget of this university. And the economic impact, of course, is counted in terms of tax dollars being spent, in terms of people living and spending money in the region, in terms of reduced costs for healthcare, in terms of many, many different aspects. Our annual budget is in the range of $70 to $80 million a year. Soon it will be about 100. Our economic impact in Lawrence Tech on the Metro Detroit region is 5 times our annual budget, close to $400 million. That's incredibly rare for higher education. The reason is our kids stay close. They graduate and they live surrounding us and they continue to work with us and hire more students graduating in their firms. They establish their own businesses. And if they are employees, they start their careers in this region with high salaries, and it goes up. And that's why our economic impact here is indispensable for the Metro Detroit region. This ratio of more than 4 times our annual budget, none of the universities, including the flagship State University and MSU, even are close to that 4 times factor. This is something we should all be proud of. Our students are wonderful. We have won we've been named Champions of Character 5-star institution by our athletic conference. Close to 700 athletes, as I mentioned. Average GPA is 3.19. I'm challenging all our wonderful coaches to bring that up to 3.3 in the next year. And I'm not actually worried. I know it will happen. I'm going to sidestep. Our students are incredible. Our students work very hard in very tough majors like art sciences, engineering, design, architecture. The athletes amongst them practice and play 15 to 20 hours a week. Most of them belong to clubs and fraternities and sororities, really good ones actually. And they do a lot of activities in campus. And most of them work part-time in addition to all of these 4 things. I don't know how they do it. I have one student in my office, biomedical engineer, not the easiest major in any university, tennis player, great tennis player, amazing actually. She belongs to a sorority, 2 clubs, and she works in the president's office, which is not easy. That's 10 to 15 hours a week. I don't know when she sleeps. I really don't. But these are our students. They are amazing. They deserve our support. They are truly incredible. And I am very proud of them. I've been in academia a long time. The quality of students and how hard they work while doing what they love, like playing sports and having activities, is incredibly rare. Continuing on, you all know about the Specs Howard move to Lawrence Tech last year. Again, kudos to everyone, faculty from the various colleges who had helped absorb the program, our admission professionals who actually started the whole work, our students, dean of students, and others. Basically, we landed a new school, which is really a cool thing to happen in higher academia. And not only did we land an iconic school for broadcasts within the region, but we inherited every one of their alumni, which is the bonus. And their alumni are in the broadcast business. And what is it that we need to do? Market and make sure that we're well known and brand ourselves as the University of Tomorrow. These alumni are going to help us. In addition, we are already receiving lots of new students because of this affiliation, and many of them are not only here for professional development only, but also into progression, into other majors that we have in LTU, like media communication, like audio engineering, like graphic design, and several other majors. Of course, the aspire to proposition is that we would have a center for digital and integrated media communications design and marketing going forward for which Specs Howard would be the seat. Faculty initiatives. Great couple of years. Finally, we have a structured for sponsored research, a great office manned by Catherine Wrench and her colleagues that will continue to provide great help to the faculty members in their applications for grant funding. In addition to the faculty fellowship program, in which 16 faculty members participated last year with great outcomes, and 16 more coming this year. And that will continue, and we will expand the program both in funding and in interdisciplinarity. Economic development endeavors and institutional grants, the work of Mark and Amy DeWiz and Chris Stefani and other colleagues within the division working with faculty, and I encourage you to peruse that opportunity, and that resource has resulted in significant institutional grants coming in. You all are aware that we have done a salary equity study and have taken the first steps towards doing salary equity across the campus last year, investing a very significant amount. This is very rare in higher education, and we are very proud that we were able to accomplish this for our faculty members. And I promise you, not only are we going to continue to do this to make sure that across all the disciplines, the faculty who are not equitable with the national average will be in the next step, but we're going to go way above the average because our faculty deserve that. I have to mention the staff, the incredible staff that we have on campus, without whom we would have never been able to accomplish all of this, not only in the last couple of years, but for the last 90 years. And what I promise the staff, the same exact steps that we're taking with faculty will be done with the staff to make sure that the staff salaries are also equitable. Accelerator continues to be a great resource for those of you amongst us as faculty who have not perused that opportunity, connected with the Accelerator, or are already working with some of the companies there in prototyping or other activities. You are encouraged to. College-based fundraising has been established. Kevin and his colleagues are now within the colleges, and that will accelerate going forward, which will enable the colleges to do targeted fundraising from their own constituencies and donor base. Ross Sanders is right here. Ross Sanders will be managing our entrepreneurial efforts across the campus very soon. And within the next year, we will be announcing a faculty entrepreneurship fellow, not very dissimilar from the faculty research fellowship that we have, which will enable our faculty and or their students to jumpstart some of their entrepreneurial ideas and getting into the world of the acquisition of intellectual property and seed funding some businesses, which we hope to be located in the Accelerator. We are going through a marketing revamp, as many of you on the, at least social media, have noticed, and you will hear more about this in the few weeks to come. Our traction on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and many other types of digital marketing efforts, including direct emailing, web revamp, with all of the associated metrics of reach and impressions and so on, has exponentially increased over the last 2 years. And there is still a lot of work to be done in the area of branding and marketing. We need to be known, not within a 20-mile radius or a 50-mile radius or Metro Detroit. We need to be known locally, regionally, at the state level, nationally, and internationally, as the University of Tomorrow, the innovative university that graduates eminent professionals ready to tackle the technological-based jobs of the future. And we will continue to do this, and you will hear more about marketing revamp soon. We're going to be establishing a monthly coffee hour with the president. So basically, I'll be in the cafeteria for a couple of hours every month. Anyone who'd love to come and chat with me and express any concern, have a discussion, or not at all, just have a cup of coffee, they're welcome to come and of course, and join me. This is truly a great institution. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to work with all of you. Um, for me, it's really very simple. Coming happy to work every day is why I work. And even if there are challenges, coming to work and being excited about solving them and tackling them and getting done with them is personally how I work. When one loses, that job doesn't make sense. Uh, the work we're doing here is transformative. It changes lives. It changes families. It changes whole communities. When you take a look at our students when they come to us and what they are 40 years later, and the effect that has, again, on their communities and industry that they go to work with, and down the line, it is incredibly gratifying. We are very blessed to be here, and we'll do better. We have been recognized. We continue to be recognized. PayScale lists us amongst the nation's top universities for alumni salary. Forbes and the Wall Street Journal ranks us amongst the nation's top institution of higher learning. US News and World Report lists us in the top tier of the Midwest colleges. We have been listed or ranked as the 5th university amongst all colleges in the country for increased, right, mobility, graduate earnings. None of this is surprising. And you know how rankings are. When you rank, you gloat about them. When you don't rank, you don't talk about them. Of course, it's good to be ranked and to be recognized. But for me, it's the outcome, what students do after they graduate. And that speaks for itself. We are different. These are very few differentiators. We are different, even amongst these 13 unique, elite, technological, comprehensive private schools. Forget even these. I mean, when you even take a look at these schools, the 13 technological private institutions that are comprehensive, we are unique. We don't have large classes. Look at many of these schools, whether it's RPI or MIT, amazing schools, don't get me wrong. It's not atypical to find 200 to 300 student classes, you know, in the freshman and sophomore year, or 400. We don't do that here. There is personalized attention. That makes a difference. The percentage of co-ops and internships that our students utilize before they graduate, that's unique among these 13 institutions, this amazingly intimate relationship between industry and Lawrence Tech. All of these are differentiators, and that's why we make a difference in our student lives. Our cardiovascular perfusion, as I already mentioned, only one in Michigan, and we will do a few of these first in Michigan programs coming forward. Our robotics engineering undergraduate program, been there for a while, is actually 1 out of 3 accredited undergraduate robotics engineering program in the country, and the second one to have been established. Our architectural engineering program actually is 1 of 2 in the country at the graduate level to be accredited. The list is much more significant than this, and there will be more differentiators in the future. This is mundane, but I was told I have to present this. So number one, good luck reading it, but this is our organizational chart. It did change a little, of course, since before I did assume the presidency. But the bottom line is the Office of the President have 7 direct reports. Marketing would be the first one. And of course, I can't read. Philanthropy, our VP for philanthropy, that's the second operation. The Accelerator reports directly to the President's office. Then we have our research operation led by Dr. Grace. Provost, I know all of you are incredibly excited and curious what happened with the Provost search. And let me touch upon that since I'm on that block. We have interviewed 3 candidates. I think most of the schools, all the schools were involved in these 3 interviews. The most recent one was, I think, last week, if I recall correctly. I had a chance to meet with all candidates. So now we are in the process of hearing. I am being presented the feedback by the chair of the search committee, Mr. Wallin, and based on that feedback, we will make a decision, hopefully within the next week, maximum 2 weeks. I am very optimistic. I personally think our slate of candidates this time around is stronger than the first slate of candidates in general that we had in the first go-around with the search. So I'm optimistic, and I'm very hopeful that we will be able to announce our new provost sometime by mid-October, if not earlier. Next column, of course, is our administration and finance division led by Vice President Haidt, and finally our enrollment management division led by Vice President Kohau. This is going to be a fun week. I think this is actually the best start to a week, being with you here and being able to talk with you. You have to see the drone show on Friday. That is supposed to be amazing. So Friday we have our drone show, car show, and barbecue and dinner, and you're all invited. That will be fun. If you have children, bring your children, because they'll see the lighted drones, hundreds of them making amazing display. And we originally, of course, wanted to do fireworks, but given that we are the technological university of the future, we thought, well, we don't want fireworks, we want drone show. So that will be fun. I truly invite all of you to join us. And then we have a car show at the same time and dinner. Saturday in the field house will be the formal investiture ceremony. You are all invited. That should be fun. Unfortunately, you will have to hear me speak one more time. But it's going to be a little bit more formal than this, in the typical academic tradition of inauguration. And then, of course, Saturday night is the gala and the ball, and would love to see you there. Spread throughout the week, there are various events with students and others that are available on the website. You're welcome to participate in all of these events. I think the ice cream event is the cool one, right? So 4:30, what day is that? Wednesday, okay. So there will be a nice ice cream event. I don't know what it is, but I was told it's going to be amazing. We're going to have fun. Starts at 5 o'clock, so 5 o'clock on Wednesday. And there are other events. And then I will leave you with the words of Blue.
Ford statue. Henry Ford's Highland Park complex was the birthplace of more than just modern manufacturing. It was also the birthplace of what today is Lawrence Technological University, founded in 1932 in a building adjacent to Ford's factory. That partnership has continued to this day.
So you will see many of these big QR posters around the campus. If you point your, this is for admissions, obviously, and things of that sort. When you point your cameras, you will see this augmented reality version of Blue, either telling you facts or giving you directions and doing cool things. And we like in our office to call this our very first venture into having LTU in the metaverse. We'll see how that goes. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and we'll see you guys soon.